Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about sleep paralysis, and I'm also going to be talking about my history with sleep paralysis as well as my latest experience, which was absolutely terrifying. So if you're interested in hearing about that, then just keep on watching. So basically, sleep paralysis is a state of consciousness where your brain is awake, but your body is still asleep. So this can happen when you are falling asleep or when you're waking up. Usually when we're going to sleep, we're less aware of our sleep paralysis because we're relaxed and we're trying to go to sleep. It's usually when we're waking up that we usually get the fear that's associated with sleep paralysis. It's a really strange sensation, and the reason that it's so scary is that literally your brain is awake, but your body's just laying there and you can't move. Like in my experience with sleep paralysis, I'm like fighting, like I'm trying to like wake myself up by like trying to jerk my body, trying to move a limb, but I can't, and I can feel the energy going to that part of my body, but it won't move. So it can be really frustrating and really terrifying because you're just totally out of control. Sleep paralysis is totally like a scientific thing. Lots of people think that it is caused by supernatural forces, and we will get into that in a minute, but scientifically it is just like in between states of sleep. So this is caused by a number of factors. The first one being lack of sleep, or sometimes some certain medications will cause it, substance abuse, which obviously that's not an issue for me, and lots of times it's very common in teenagers because teenagers do not usually get the amount of sleep that they need to get. When I moved into the house that I'm in right now, I want to say I was maybe 12 years old, and shortly after we moved into this house, which is completely empty, by the way, there's no spirits in this house, there's nothing going on, no supernatural anything ever, unless it's a family member that's visiting, or you know, my mom or I bring it in, or maybe my brother brings it in, which is usually they don't stick around for that long if that happens, and it happens very rarely. So anyways, there's nothing in this house at all between the ages of like 12, 13 to like 15. I would always get sleep paralysis on the weekends. It's usually supposed to last only 30 seconds to about 5 minutes, and it doesn't last longer than that. But in my experience with sleep paralysis, my body would wake up and I'd be able to like move slightly or roll over, and then I'd get right back into sleep paralysis, which was really frustrating because all I wanted to do was just wake up, and I couldn't. And I'd be laying there and I wouldn't hallucinate necessarily, I would just see like just gray, and I'd be laying there and it'd usually be like just coming out of a dream. And I would have a dream where I was falling and then I'd land. I wouldn't be able to wake up. My brain would be awake and I'd know that I was awake, and so I'd be laying there like trying to like jerk myself awake, and then I'd be able to wake up. I'd open my eyes and I'd move and I'd breathe, and then right back I'd get sucked right back into it, which was super frustrating. So I'd be laying there for like what felt like an hour in this cycle of sleep paralysis, which is really frustrating. But because I experienced it so often, like I kind of got used to it and I wasn't scared anymore. So it's really scary at first. It's a total loss of control, and sometimes you can see really terrifying things when you're in sleep paralysis just due to like hallucinations, and for another reason that we'll get into in a second. But I never saw anything. I just didn't have any control over my body because it was still asleep. And so I learned to sort of just breathe, like take deep breaths and just like relax through it and sort of enjoy the ride, if that makes sense. Because when you're relaxed in sleep paralysis and you're not afraid, it's actually a really cool meditative state. And I would always wake up feeling super rejuvenated and super well rested because my body and my brain got the right amount of sleep that it needed. I haven't had sleep paralysis in a few years, and so yeah, so my latest experience was last week. I actually got up at about 6:30 to drive my boyfriend to work. I was determined. I was like, I'm going to go back to sleep, even if I just like meditate or something, just to get some rest because I was so tired. And I actually fell into a really deep sleep, and coming out of it, I experienced some really freaky sleep paralysis. I hallucinated like crazy. It was like absolutely terrifying. So anyway, so I went to sleep and I was laying down and my hands were like this because that's usually how I sleep. My phone was laying right here on my bed. YouTube was on autoplay or something. I was just listening to some stuff and it came on to Haley Reese. She does a lot of like paranormal and ghost type stuff on her YouTube channel, and I remember hearing her like really freaky ghost story videos were on. All of a sudden I opened my eyes, and I open my eyes because now I'm in sleep paralysis, laying like this, and I look over at my iPhone and the screen is like totally distorted, so you can't really see the video. The video is like playing in the background, sort of kind of like faded into the background. I'll insert a picture right here, but that's kind of what I saw, but it was like crackly and distorted and they were moving around, and so that's what I kept seeing on my iPhone screen. And I actually thought I was awake until I tried to move because I couldn't really see my iPhone screen, and I thought maybe it just looked distorted because of the angle I was laying at. But I tried to move it, and again, I'm doing that because I can't move, and I realized, oh, I'm in sleep paralysis. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna relax through it. Just sort of deep breathe and just shut my eyes, even though they're already shut because I'm asleep. But and then I kept like seeing this really interesting looking cartoon character of like an older man pop up on the screen. It kind of looks like one of the characters from Futurama. I'll insert a picture right here. It wasn't him, it's just it kind of looked like him. I don't really know what it was. Then I just like came out of my sleep paralysis and I was able to sort of just like move a little bit. And I drifted in and out of this sleep paralysis with the iPhone screen looking all distorted and the cartoon character. I drifted in and out of that for quite some time. It kind of felt like maybe half an hour, but I don't know. You have no concept of time when you're dreaming or when you're in sleep paralysis. So then I rolled over, and I didn't actually roll over because I can feel my hands right here. And I roll over and I'm looking from this side of my room all the way over to the other side of my room, and I see my room. Like I can see my room, and I know I was hallucinating, but it felt so real. And like I saw my room, and I could see the blankets that were up by my face right here. And I moved the blankets and I was looking around my room like this, and I could see my room exactly how it is right now. And that like was really strange. The next like really weird thing that happened to me was I could feel my hands right here, but I rolled over onto my back. Right? And my arms were lifted above. I'll kind of go back so you can see. My arms were lifted above, and they were doing this and moving around and just sort of floating around. And I could see my arms and see my hands above me, and like I was looking up. And it was so weird because I felt myself laying on my side, and I felt myself doing this with my hands, but I saw my hands waving above my head, and that was like really weird because it was my hands, it was my arms, like I knew, but it was just so strange. And then this is the really, really freaky part that really terrified me actually. It didn't terrify me at the time. I was kind of like, ooh, that's a little yucky. But now looking back at it, I was like, oh my God, that's so gross. So anyways, at the time I had a big blanket hung on the curtain rod by my window right here. And so there was no possible way that any light could be shining through. And I purposefully hung this blanket so that I could go back to sleep because it was 7 a.m. and it was, starting to get light out. There was this one beam of light that was shining through. It looked like it was coming from my window and onto my roof above me where I was laying on my back. And all of a sudden, I couldn't see my hands doing this anymore. There was a shadow like in the middle of the beam of light, and my hand, I knew it was my hand because I could feel my hand doing it, when in reality they were right here, and I could feel them here, but I could also feel them, going up through the beam of light. And my hand grew these like really long pointy fingernails and started just like doing that. Like there was like cracking, doing like that, and bones were like popping out, and you could see like flesh was ripping off of my hand, and it was like reaching up like this and shaking, and then just started like tweaking out, and it was just a shadow. And I could feel my hand doing this, you guys. I could feel it, but I was laying down, and I could also feel that same hand touching my face and my other hand and my pillow. It was so bizarre, like the strangest thing ever. And shortly after that I woke up, but like, oh my God, I don't know what caused it. Maybe I was just really tired. That's probably what it was. But still, it was like really strange. And I've never hallucinated with sleep paralysis before. And I know it's quite common, but I've never experienced that before. And it was really terrifying. And looking back on it, it was just really, I don't know, yucky. It's just gross. Ew, I hate it. But now on to the other theory about sleep paralysis, and that is that sleep paralysis is caused by demons and or malevolent spirits or evil spirits or whatever you want to call them, and it's caused by them sitting on your chest or by choking you. I don't like to think about that because I do not invite those types of things at all ever into my space, and so I know it wouldn't be anything like that. I would be very surprised if it was anything like that, and it would happen to me more often, which it doesn't, and it won't, because I meditate on this stuff all the time and I'm safe. I believe in it for sure, and I know that's the case for some people, that it is like an evil spirit or an evil entity or something that is like attached to them or hanging out with them, but I know that for me that's not the case. If you are brave enough, you can Google sleep paralysis and see what some of the other theories are, but please make sure that before you do anything, you know, researching any negative entities or anything evil or even any spirits in general, if you're not like aware of the repercussions, just make sure that you meditate or pray or do something to make sure that you're vibrating on a high vibration and you're radiating positivity and light and love so that nothing can get into your space or attach to you. So, because that's a very real thing. And I'm not about that life, so just be safe. But yeah, anyway, so there you guys go. That is my latest sleep paralysis experience. If I experience it again, which I don't think I will, but if I do, I will definitely update you guys. I just want to say thank you so much for watching and tuning in today, and for spending a few minutes of your day hanging out and chatting with me. And if you guys like spooky content like this, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss when I upload. Yeah, with that being said, then I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.